Hi, everyone, and welcome to your final hours of Taurus season 2025. My name is Laura. I'm an astrologer. I do individual sessions and I also do mentorship for people who want to learn more about astrology. Go to my website, sageastrology.com, to learn more about what I do and book your session. I'm really excited to bring you this energy update today for the week of May 19th because we're ending one chapter, we're ending the Taurus chapter, and we're moving into the Gemini chapter. And we're ending this chapter with some things that we need to put a bow on and put in the past. We are starting this Gemini season or ending this Taurus season with a sextile between the Sun and Saturn, both in 29 degrees. The Sun is in 29 degrees of Taurus and Saturn is in 29 degrees of Pisces. Now, sextiles are opportunities. Nothing is really guaranteed with a sextile. We have this door gets opened, and then we have to decide that we're going to push through it and take advantage of this opportunity to essentially make our lives better. That's what a sextile is. And with Saturn in 29 degrees of Pisces, we've done a lot of spiritual learning over the past 2.5 years. It may not have necessarily felt that way all the time, but we've learned about ourselves and we've learned about the world from a different lens, from a more spiritual lens. And we're integrating some of that stuff that we've learned into our identity now with this sextile. So, one of the things that we need to do is wrap up any of the loose ends, wrap up the tangible tasks, Saturn ruled tasks. So, things that we may not want to do, they're not very fun, but they need to get done so that we can live the rest of our lives without being bothered by them, essentially. So if there's stuff that you've been holding on to that you need to get rid of it, donate it, throw it out. Get rid of all of the things that are taking up space in your life, whether that's actual tangible items or tasks that are looming that you need to get done. This will really help you step into a new version of yourself because over the last week last week we had the Scorpio full moon. And if you watched my last video, I gave you a ritual to do for releasing old baggage, releasing old wounds, old traumas, old pains, things that you didn't want to carry inside yourself anymore. Whether you did that ritual or not, you probably came to some realizations about things that have been hard for you that you need to let go. And you've started that process of releasing them. The moon was heavy, and the energy of that lasted a few days, lasted a really long time, honestly, for a full moon. And that's because when you're releasing big stuff, it's a process. It doesn't just go away right away. You can't snap your fingers and then have it disappear. It's a process. So, over the last week, you have released some stuff, made some space for new things to grow within you, and now's the time to ensure that your external environment is a reflection of this new version of you on the inside. So they have to go hand in hand. And so this Saturn Sun sextile is your opportunity to do that. You've let go on the inside of some things that have been holding you back. So don't hold on to the relics of them in your real life. It's not necessary. You're new. You don't need to look at that evidence of who you once were. Get rid of it. And that will help you move into Gemini season really like almost a fully new person. Saturn is still in 29 degrees of Pisces. So over the next few weeks, you'll still be integrating some spiritual learnings. You'll still be letting some things go. You'll still be patching up some loose ends in your life. That's okay. But you want to take conscious control of that now in order to just get ahead of it and honestly relieve yourself of some burdens. So that's happening on the 20th, the same day that the sun moves into Gemini. And that move from Taurus into Gemini, it has very different energy. So the Taurus chapter we were just in was pretty slow moving. It was our opportunity to focus on the things that make us feel comfortable, focus on our desires, really think about what it is we want in our lives and feel into that and kind of set some new goals. Now in Gemini season, we're going to be observing, we're going to be learning, we're going to be talking to people, being social, hearing new ideas, looking at old things in new ways. And this is really important because we need to examine the world that we live in to figure out how to incorporate those goals that we set during Taurus season into our real lives. How can we make them sustainable? Well, the only way we're going to know is if we really become aware of the world we're living in, because we don't just live in a bubble. We live in a world with other people and other things going on around us. So we need to make sure that those things, those goals that we set and those things that we held on to for safety are really, it makes sense. We need to make sure it makes sense to bring them forward. So curiosity and exploration of our immediate environment is the vibe, the goal of Gemini season, which we'll have a month to explore. So let's move on to some other things that are going on this week. I'm going to share my screen briefly and just show you what I was just talking about. So here's the sun in 29 degrees. Here's Saturn in 29 degrees. This is the sextile that we were just referring to. And now tomorrow, the sun will move into Gemini. And then after that, on the 22nd, let's see here. The 22nd, we have a sun, Neptune, moon sextile. So Neptune and the moon are conjunct in Aries in 1 degree, and the sun is sextile those two planets in 1 degree of Gemini. Now, the moon and Neptune, they will not be in a conjunction for very long. The moon moves very quickly. So this will be kind of a brief situation where we'll be able to kind of explore ourselves in a deeper way than we might do on a regular basis. The moon and Neptune is very dreamy. It opens up this kind of fantasy world. It also opens up a portal to other dimensions within us. You know, we may just be exploring them in our mind, but we can still go places that we don't normally go. The really cool thing about this sextile is that it's a chance to make sense of what we see when we go to these other places, to make sense of our fantasies, make sense of our really deep desires that are coming out in our daydreams. The moon and Neptune are watery, but they're in Aries, and Aries doesn't really dwell on emotions. And Aries and Gemini together, we don't need to dwell on anything, but Gemini can work really quickly to pick up on some themes, to pick up on some desires and kind of intellectualize them and make observations about them. So all of that to say, this sextile is a really cool chance to learn more about ourselves by examining where we go in our heads, by examining our kind of windows, how we handle those windows into other dimensions, how we handle our daydreams, what we daydream about. We can really come to some conclusions if we examine those things. So pay attention to your dreams, though this is happening on the East Coast in the middle of the day. Pay attention to your daydreams and just see what you can learn about yourself from those. That could be a really cool practice. Also on the 22nd, this is one of my favorite things that happens in the sky. We have a Mars. Mars is over here in Leo, and Venus. Venus is over here in Aries. We have a Mars-Venus trine. I think I talked about this in my last video, but when Mars and Venus come together, we have just so much determination. We can persevere through a lot of things to get our goals done, to accomplish what it is we're seeking, to really go after our goals. So if there's something that you've been working on for a really long time that needs like an extra boost of energy, the 22nd is your chance. We're moving into this trine every second. And so you can harness this energy now, but the peak of it will be on the 22nd. Because these two planets are in fire signs, you know, Venus is in Aries and Mars is in Leo. These would be kind of really personal things, most likely, that you've wanted to accomplish, depending on your chart. So you're going to feel this more strongly if in your birth chart, these two planets are aspecting your personal planets or your angles. So this won't be felt super strongly for everybody, but it will be felt, and for some people it'll be felt really strongly. So that's really exciting. I hope that that's something that can help you as you go about your week this week by being able to focus on some of the things that are really important to you. After the 22nd, we move into the weekend and we see this conjunction between Uranus and Mercury in 27 degrees Taurus. This is a really cool conjunction because Mercury and Uranus together lead to really big ideas, like just kind of thoughts that come up and surprise you, and you may be thinking about something that you don't normally think about, and you have this great spark of insight, spark of creativity. That's something that can happen this weekend. You can also have, especially if you're a Mercury person, you can have just kind of surprising events happen over the weekend. Last weekend, we had a Sun-Uranus conjunction, so that could have set some things into motion. Maybe there was something that happened in your life that doesn't normally happen and made you think. Now, there's something else that could happen this weekend that will change your perspective. Uranus, Mercury, together, they can lead to some different perspectives because you're observing the world differently. So, this is a really good chance this weekend to just kind of be open to change, be open, allow your mind to be open to different ideas, different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things, and allow yourself to be surprised, I guess would be my best piece of advice for the weekend. So I'll leave you with that. That was a lot for this week. There's a lot happening up in the cosmos. Hopefully, a lot of much needed change coming through to stir things up in a good way. Make sure that you complete old things so that they don't carry into Gemini season with you and enjoy your week. My name is Laura. I'm an astrologer. You can follow me at Sage Astrology on Substack and on Instagram. Follow me at Sage of the Stars on TikTok and go to my website, sageastrology.com, for more about what I do. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.